Marisol learned early that the world was not gentle with women who stood alone. She learned it the day her husband left. No apology, no explanation, just an empty side of the bed and a quiet apartment that suddenly felt too large for two people. She learned it again at the grocery store when she counted coins at the register and felt the eyes behind her. And she learned it every morning when she woke before dawn, pulled on her uniform, and reminded herself that quitting was not an option. Because she had a son. Eli was 6 years old, small for his age, with dark eyes that noticed everything, and a smile that came slowly, like trust. He was the reason Marisol worked 2 jobs, the reason she walked instead of taking the bus, the reason she learned to stretch a dollar until it almost snapped. She didn't believe in heroes, she believed in survival. Their apartment sat at the edge of a city that never quite slept. Sirens were common, so were shadows. But inside their small home, Marisol created rules. Shoes by the door, dinner at the table, lights out at 9. Structure was her way of building walls where none existed. When Eli started school, Marisol cried in the bathroom where he couldn't hear her. Not because she wasn't proud, because she was afraid. The first week of school went smoothly. Eli walked with his backpack bouncing against his shoulders, clutching Marisol's hand until they reached the corner where she had to turn back toward work. "Straight there and straight home," she told him every morning. "I know," Eli said. He always said it softly. By the second week, Marisol noticed small changes. Eli walked faster. He stopped talking about his day. He flinched when someone laughed too loudly behind him. "Everything okay?" she asked one night while washing dishes. Eli nodded too quickly. Kids had secrets, she told herself. School was an adjustment. She didn't want to be the kind of mother who saw danger everywhere. The world would teach him soon enough. It started with the long way home. Eli used to take the same route every day, past the corner store, across the narrow street, through the alley that smelled like old cardboard and rain. It wasn't ideal, but it was the fastest way. One afternoon, Marisol noticed him arriving later than usual. "I stopped to look at something," he said. The next day, he was later again. "What happened today?" she asked. He shrugged. "Nothing." But his hands were shaking. That night, Eli woke from a nightmare, his small body stiff with fear. He didn't scream. He never screamed. He just sat up, eyes wide, breathing too fast. "I don't want to go to school tomorrow," he whispered. Marisol's heart tightened. "Why?" Eli hesitated. The silence stretched, heavy and uncomfortable. "There are some people," he said finally. Marisol sat on the edge of the bed. "What people?" "Just people." Children don't always have words for fear. Sometimes fear lives in pauses, in what they can't say yet. Eli didn't tell her everything at once. He told her pieces. About the men who leaned against the fence near the alley. About the way they watched him. About how they said his name, even though he had never told them. "They tell me not to tell anyone," he said. Marisol felt the room tilt. "What do they say, Eli?" He swallowed. "That no one would believe me." That was the moment something in Marisol hardened, because she knew that lie. Before he told her, Eli tried to handle it alone. He walked faster, took different routes, pretended not to hear them. He told himself that if he didn't react, they would get bored. But they didn't. They followed him once, just far enough to make sure he noticed. Another day, one of them blocked his path and smiled too wide. Eli ran. He didn't cry until he reached home. Children shouldn't have to learn how to calculate danger. They shouldn't know how to scan a street or listen for footsteps that don't belong to them. But Eli did. And it was stealing something from him that Marisol could never replace. The night Eli finally told her everything, Marisol didn't interrupt. She didn't gasp. She didn't panic. She listened. She listened the way women who have survived listen, quietly, completely, with every nerve awake. When he finished, she pulled him into her arms and held him until his breathing slowed. "You did the right thing," she said. "You hear me? You did nothing wrong." "But they said—" "I don't care what they said," Marisol interrupted. Her voice was steady, but inside it was a storm. "I believe you." That night, Marisol didn't sleep. She sat at the kitchen table, the city humming outside, and planned. Fear was something she knew, but fear had never stopped her before. The next morning, Marisol walked Eli to school, all the way. She noticed things she had missed before, the way certain people lingered too long, the blind corners, the lack of cameras in places that mattered most. When they reached the alley, she felt it. Eyes on her. One of the men leaned against the wall, pretending to check his phone. Another watched from across the street. They didn't look threatening. That was the worst part. Marisol stopped. She met his eyes. Didn't blink. Didn't hurry. The man looked away first. That was when she knew. They relied on silence, on fear, on mothers being too tired, too busy, too alone to fight back. She was tired, but she was not alone. Marisol went to the school that day and asked to speak to the principal. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize for taking up space. She documented everything. Dates, times, descriptions. She filed a police report even when the officer looked skeptical, even when he asked questions that made her jaw tighten. "Kids imagine things sometimes," he said. Marisol leaned forward. "My son doesn't imagine fear," she said quietly. "And if you don't take this seriously, I will make sure someone above you does." The officer straightened. Paperwork began to move. But paperwork was slow, and danger was not. One afternoon, Eli didn't come home. Marisol checked the clock again and again, her chest tightening with every passing minute. She called the school. "He left at the usual time," they said. Marisol didn't grab her purse. She ran. She found him near the alley, backed against a wall, eyes wide. The same men. Closer this time. Marisol didn't scream. She stepped between them and her child like something ancient and unbreakable. "Move," one of them said. Marisol smiled. Not a friendly smile. "You picked the wrong kid," she said, "and the wrong mother." Sirens wailed in the distance, closer than they realized. Neighbors had seen. Cameras had been installed faster than they expected. The men scattered. Eli collapsed into her arms. This time, he cried. After that, things changed. Not immediately, not easily. There were court dates, statements, long nights where Marisol held Eli while he slept, afraid the world would take something else from him. But there was also healing. The school changed routes, parents organized walking groups, the alley was closed off, and Eli started smiling again. One night, months later, Eli asked a question. "Mom?" "Yes." "Were you scared?" Marisol thought about it. "Yes," she said honestly, "I was. But you still fought." She kissed his forehead. That's what scared people do when love is stronger. Years later, Eli would remember the fear. But more than that, he would remember the way his mother stood in front of him without hesitation. In a world that wasn't kind, she taught him something powerful. That survival is not just about staying alive. Sometimes it's about refusing to stay silent. And sometimes the scariest stories don't end in darkness. They end in a mother's voice, steady and unafraid, saying, "Not my child."